Family, welcome to Sacred Spaces Advanced School of Ancestral Communication. I am Queen Carlenia, and I'm talking to my Afro-Rakanu and Afro-Right Newt African Black family, regardless of where we find ourselves in this world, regardless of our ethnicity. You will hear me say that over and over again. We are family, and what connects us is our roots. And because our identity is the people are trying to erase our identity even as I speak. I think it's very important for all of us to begin to just share whatever we know, whether we teach this, whether we know a lot or a little. I think it's imperative um, that we are the custodians of our culture. And even though a lot of our culture has been corrupted, when we begin to share, we also receive real time communication to be able to make sense of what we're hearing from the ancestors and the ancestresses. They have always walked with us. Today, for me, has been like one day of continual learning and um, experiences so extraordinary. I don't even think I can share it. I would probably share it personally, but not, not on here. And I want us to understand that as a people being under heavy assault, especially at this time, that going back into our culture and learning about who we are is so important. The Adinkra symbols, those symbols that are on the clothes and on the buildings. Some people use it as tattoos in Ghana. Um, this is an Adinkra symbol, the Ankh. These symbols are found on the walls of ancient Kemet, and the reason is because we're the same people. But these symbols, they come with ebe meaning proverbs, wisdom teachings. And one of those wisdom teachings um, is called B Inka B. B Inka Nka Bi. And it literally means bite not one another. Bite not one another. And the symbol, the actual symbol for B Inka B is a symbol of two crocodiles that share the same stomach, yet they fight over food. It's an admonition to us to respect one another. It doesn't make sense if we share a common culture. We share a common culture. What fighting each other, attacking each other, um, is weakening our own self. So we share the same stomach, we eat the same food, and I'm fighting you, I'm biting you. Now, instead of us being fed and nourished, we're starving to death, right? At B and B admonishes us to respect one another, but also to recognize our open enemies, to recognize who our true enemies are, and who to bite, who to attack justifiably. So there is justifiable fighting or justifiable attack. Because if you don't protect yourselves, then what happens to your assignment? As Afro-Rakanu and Afro-Right people, we enter into the community for a very specific purpose, sent here by Mother and Father God, known to our ancient ancestors in Kemet, in what we call Egypt today. Mother God was known as Amenet, and Father God as Amen, two sides of the same coin who operate in harmony and together. One could not exist without the other. So, throughout our cultures, before all of the corruption of the colonists and the invaders, we have always known, and when you go and you look back in our culture, we always have known there is a Mother God and Father God, and they operate in harmony. And before we even are born into this world, before we leave that dimension into to be born into this realm, they assign an abosom and a risha, Vodou, a spirit force in creation that operates only in alignment with them to govern our soul, to govern our divine consciousness. And so it is our communication with them that has us operating within the ancestral jurisdiction, within the jurisdiction of Mother and Father God. It has us operating in alignment with our divine function. No, we talk about a purpose, but purpose within our culture, we're really talking about a function. All of the cells in our body, all of the body's organs and organ systems have a specific function that would describe their purpose. They only have a purpose, they only have a function when they are operating inside the body. So, a real time example is that our liver serves no purpose outside of our body. Our heart serves no purpose, no function outside of our body. The function is within our body because it helps to regulate our system, our entire system, so that we, as a larger being, are able to be out here and to execute our function in the community. When we come into this world, we are welcomed into the community in our various cultures in different ways. We're given a naming ceremony because that naming ceremony is very important. It tells who we are in the community, how we are to function. So not only are we given that name, but the community knows who we are and how we are to function, and they treat us according to that. And so they understand if there's one person in the community that is operating outside of their function, we call that dysfunction, the entire community begins to suffer and to disintegrate. And so it's very important that the community finds out what is going on with the individual who is malfunctioning, because with them malfunctioning, whatever they're bringing to the community is now missing, and the weight becomes heavy for everyone else to carry. So we each have a particular function and we operate in harmony with each other. We don't spend our lives trying to figure out what our purpose is. What did God mean for us to do? Have these big general ideas of what we are supposed to do when we're here. That happens because we are operating outside of our culture. When we come back to our roots, when we return to the way that God created us, who God created us to be, which many of us today think is actually evil, which is absolute insanity. It is insane to think that the way God created us and taught us to worship is evil because of what our open enemy has taught us about who we are, and that's mostly what we know. Took away the drum, took away the language, took away our names, but these things are they are still within us, and so we have the capacity to reclaim them at the altar. Is why it's so important to every day cleanse our mind and our spirits by going to the altar, whether it's in nature, whether you spend time in nature, or you create a simple altar in your home. We have to go into the silence and begin to communicate, to still our emotions, and to begin to hear and to listen, because that is what is going to help us to navigate through this time of a lot of tremendous confusion, lies, and deception. I promise you, the things that they taught us about who we are lies. And when we're operating within our religions, believing we're worshiping God and we have no idea who we are and how we are to function, we are operating in disorder. So we have bits and pieces, but when bits and pieces of information, and and it's why our people, it seems like we struggle to come together. It's because of what has been done. When we begin to reclaim what they took and stop believing their lies, we begin to reconstitute ourselves. So I would encourage you to begin to have a daily practice. I said it yesterday, I believe 15 to 20 minutes going into the silence. You're not going looking for anything specific, but begin to still the noise. Just by you being still, you become aware of the thoughts that are going through your own mind. You begin you begin to become aware of thoughts that are opposite to how you think, and that's how you know what, that's not me. We have to begin to separate, be able to discern what are our thoughts and what are thoughts from wayward spirits, what you may call demonic spirits, other entities that are seeking to keep you off your purpose. Because once you are on purpose, operating in your function, you begin to repel these disordered spirits. That means at night you get to sleep. You get to sleep peacefully. No medicine. No, because your medicine you carry within you. But unless you return to your roots, you aren't going to know the medicine that you carry in its fullness, because it is connected to who you are at your roots, not the stories they gave you. Not the stories they gave you. It's time for us to cleanse our minds and our spirits. And we do that in the silence. We do that in the silence. Ashe.